Brought to you by Helene Curtis, makers of Stopette deodorants, flowing cream, spray, and stick, Suave hair dressing, and End and Dandruff Treatment shampoo. Now let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers from coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
On my left, the very popular and funny and talented comedian, Ernie Kovacs.
Thank you, Dorothy. And on my left. On my left, a doll, Arlene Francis.
And to my left, the publisher of Random House and columnist for This Week magazine, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Very formal tonight. And to my left, our famous panel moderator, and incidentally the owner of that famous thoroughbred horse, Cecil, Mr. John Charles Daly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight we have some interesting occupations, and I might say, if I can be allowed a preview, all of them attached to some very interesting and admirable and charming young ladies, or, as it may be, a very fine gentleman. And we think we'll give the panel a bit of a trouble tonight. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before my friends a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger in just 1 minute. And now let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter the premises and sign in, please? Down, Cecil. Edith. Fredericks, is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Fredericks? Mrs. Fredericks, and where are you from?
Alliance, Nebraska.
Alliance, Nebraska. Oh, well, it's nice to have you. We haven't had anybody from Nebraska for a long time. Mrs. Fredericks, the panel. Mrs. Fredericks, will you come and join me? May I ask if you're familiar with the way we keep score?
Yes.
Good. Then let's let everybody in the theater, except the panel, and all your friends in Nebraska, and my 2 or 3 friends in the part of New England that I used to come from, know exactly what your line is. Mrs. Fredericks is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Mrs. Fredericks, the last time I heard of Nebraska was in rain. I believe that was mentioned. Are you a person who performs services? You are. Are they services that John and the members of this panel might avail themselves of?
Bennett, I don't think it's necessary to involve me in these questions. How can I have any fun if you do? The answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Under certain circumstances.
In other words, your services might be performed both for men and for women.
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris, do you work for a profit-making organization?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are people ever pleased to have your services?
Yes?
Are they ever not pleased to be involved with you?
No.
Are they ever not?
They're always pleased, is that it?
Well, I think the assumption here is that we must accept, and I'm sure that Mrs. Fredericks would insist, that anybody who is lucky enough to be the recipient of her services, irrespective of their particular estate, has had some benefit therefrom.
Oh, I only asked the question because you seemed rather annoyed to be connected with this particular service.
Oh, I was just having fun.
Oh. Would this service be more suitable in application for an adult than a child?
Yes.
Is it done indoors?
Yes.
Is there more than one person involved at a time? could several people gather together and be the recipient of your services?
Yes.
And they'd be having fun?
Well, I think we'll have to give you a no on that. That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Kovacs.
These people always come to you?
No,
You
that
notice I didn't finish the sentence. It really shouldn't be counted against me. I left it kind of hanging a little bit.
Well, I just wanted to take the assumption that is the premise for the question in hand and give you a big fat no because
Yes.
the assumption is in error.
Speak again, sweet lips.
Yes,
I hear
rather. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss President.
You said it was a non-profit-making organization. Is it, could there be anything disciplinary in your job in any way?
No.
No, that's true. That's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Mrs. Frerichs, do you do your salary job for some kind of a governmental, that might be the national, state, or local government?
Yes.
We have to guess which one it is. Is it out, do you do your work out in Nebraska? Would it be a local organization?
Yeah, I think we'd agree that it's local in character within the frame of reference that you have drawn so far.
And it has nothing to do with the disciplinary part of the apparatus. Has it anything to do...
Now, wait, before you, the question that was asked was whether Mrs. Frerichs had any disciplinary responsibility in her functions, and she has not. That's the answer we gave a bit ago, I think, takes care of it.
I'm not going to be pulled in by that. Have you anything to do with the educational section of the town where
You
you
mean
live?
the schools and
Schools
the other allied areas of
Yes.
education, like the extension courses and things like that? No,
No.
that's fine. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is your work mental as well as physical?
Yes.
Do you go about from place to place
Yes.
doing it? You
Well,
couldn't...
now, wait a minute. Whoop, I'm sorry. Didn't mean that. Yeah. Yes, we'll let the answer go about from place to place, presupposing that you do not have a specific term of reference there as meaning one state to another.
Oh,
Did you
no,
have-
just that she doesn't stay in one little office.
Oh, on that basis, the answer would be yes.
She said that it's indoors. Dividing all branches of government service into executive, judicial, and legislative, would you say that you have anything to do with the judicial system?
No.
That makes it 6 down and 4 to go. Mr. Kovacs, I'm going to give you 1 more minute. You don't seem to be getting even close to this.
Why don't we just sit here for a minute? And everyone can think lovely thoughts. Is this connected with an institution, a disciplinary institution in any way?
Yes.
I was afraid you'd say that because I could have got off the hook if she said no, you know. Is this with a penal institution?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do medically for this penal institution?
No.
I was hoping you had, because I was on my way then for a minute.
7 down and 3 to go. Yes, Bennett?
I'll wait my turn.
All right.
Do you wear any kind of a uniform in your job at all? No?
Small question.
Rather gay at that institution.
Yeah, I like
All right. Good deal. 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, now, you were connected with a penal institution, but you said that you go outside to people's homes. Have you got anything, therefore, to do with probation?
No.
Nope. And I'm going to ring in the towel. I don't think you're going to get it. Actually, it's a unique situation, Bennett, which is one of the things that misled you, I think. Mrs. Frerichs is the cook for the county jail in Alliance, Nebraska. And Mrs. Frerichs purchases the supplies, prepares the meals in her home, and then they go over to the county jail.
Oh.
See?
They haven't
Pretty.
a kitchen in the county jail.
Nope, no.
Well,
no
I
kitchen.
think we all ought to work toward that end.
Yes, I think so, too. And Mrs. Frerichs, thank you for working toward a very enjoyable end. You stuck the panel, and thanks for being our guest. Nice to have you. Welcome. All right, panel. Let's see what you can do with the second challenger. Would you come in and sign in, please? Merle? Emma? Deck. Is that right? Mrs. Deck, and where are you from?
Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, Pennsylvania. Nice to have you with us. Practically a neighboring state, to a degree, a neighboring state in our northern borders. Panel, Mrs. Deck, panel. Would you join me over here? Do you know how we keep score, Mrs. Deck? Oh, fine. Then let's let everybody at home and our friends here in the theater know exactly what your line is. Mrs. Deck is salaried, and we'll begin the general questioning with Ernie Kovacs.
Mrs. Deck, is there a product involved in
Yes.
what you do? I hope it isn't pigs or skunks, or I'll be blamed for it in the morning in the paper, you know. Is it something you can fold?
Pardon?
Fold. Can you fold this product? Can you fold the product? Fold,
I will say this. I
how's
think
Marty?
that if brute strength were applied, you can fold most anything, but the product is not meant to be folded, and therefore I will give you a no.
I didn't ask if it was meant to be folded, Mr. Daly. I said, can it be folded? Shall we stick to the facts?
I must now take refuge in the fact that if you're going to be literal, we will have to consider that anything that cannot be folded without breaking it not be folded. Therefore, you will know. I'll have Cecil talk to you. That's one down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Is this product found in the home, Mrs. Deck?
Yes.
Is it something that could be held in the hand?
Yes.
Is it found in a particular room of the home rather than all rooms?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
It can be found then in several rooms in the house.
Yes, I would like to say here, so that you're not misled, that you might, as a matter of personal choice, tend to have it in one room, basically, but still use it generally. So to that degree, it's used in all rooms.
Mm-hmm. Could this object be bought, Mrs. Deck, in Allentown's Hess Brothers department store?
No.
It could not.
No.
Small question.
I thought Hess Brothers had everything, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm disappointed in them.
How's Marty?
Well.
Good. You dig?
Fine, thank you. How's he?
I would say this, Bennett, just for fear that we might be in error, we will give you a qualitative reply on that, on the basis that it's possible, but we're not sure, so you proceed.
You would think. Has this product ever been in the ground or on the ground?
Yes.
Has any part of this product ever been underneath the ground?
No.
No, that's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
If you were giving a Pennsylvania Dutch dinner, would this be anywhere in sight?
It's possible.
If it were in sight,
Maybe it's Mr. Deck.
if it were in sight, could you eat it?
Well, I wouldn't advise it, no.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Kovacs.
Well, being cautious again because I got so involved last week, is this something that is acceptable at the table when you're eating?
It's acceptable at the table, yes.
Yes. Is it something that you plug in?
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis. It's not.
Is it the sort of a product that needs something else put on it to be useful?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Deck, if it was at the table, would it be more likely to be on the table than on the person of somebody sitting around the table?
It would depend almost entirely on circumstances. Either could be the case.
It could be, in other words, might this be considered a piece of wearing apparel?
Wearing apparel. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen. I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
Now, Mrs. Deck, you have said that this cannot be folded without breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is it solid rather than liquid, then?
Yes.
Be the first liquid I ever couldn't fold without breaking if it was.
Just want to make sure everything is so indefinite.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be held in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Would it ever be found on a table? Any kind of a table, not necessarily a dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
It could be put on a table.
That's right.
It is also found on or in the ground.
I didn't hear that.
It is also found
On or in the ground
or
at
above
some
the ground.
stage in its career.
on or above the ground, not in.
Is its character changed between the time it is on or in the ground and the time that it arrives in your home by some process?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be called manufactured?
Mm-hmm.
It's not edible and it's not apparel. Would it be adornment of any kind?
Adornment? No, I'm afraid not. That makes it 8 down and 2 to go. Give you 30 seconds. Mr. Kovacs?
Are there 2 of these? You've got the only one, huh? No wonder we never heard of it. Is this...
We run out of time. And Mrs. Deck makes cigars. Deck says he makes White Owl cigars for the General Cigar Company. And that is why cigars taste so good, because Mrs. Deck makes them.
Oh. I think the cigars Ernie smokes are found under the ground.
Mrs. Deck, thank you very much. We stuck the panel again. It was wonderful to have you as a guest on What's My Line. Say good night to the board. We meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which I ask my friends in the panel to blindfold themselves. Blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise. And we begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Well, that was rather wild applause. Are you a living American blonde?
A living... Did I hear the question? Are you a living American blonde?
That's right.
No!
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Kovac.
Are you a sexagenarian? Or younger, either one. I don't know, 50, 60, I don't... are you above 50 years of age? I'll rephrase it.
Are you more than 50 years of age?
Yes!
Miss Francis?
Are you in motion pictures?
Are you in motion pictures?
Yes!
Mr. Cerf?
Above 50. Are you a comedian? Yes!
Miss Kilgallen?
Do you also appear on the stage? Or have you
Yes.
appeared on the stage?
Yes, is the answer to that, Mr. Kovac.
This is either Walter Brennan or Rosemary Clooney. Are you appearing on the stage currently?
No!
That's the 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Have you been in motion pictures for many, many years?
Yes!
Mr. Cerf?
Have you got a son who is also a motion picture actor?
Do you have a son who is also a motion picture
No!
actor? That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you go as far back as the silent movies?
Do you go as far back as the silent movies?
Yes.
Mr. Kovac?
Do you have a current movie?
Do you have a...
Yes.
Miss Francis?
A current movie from silent picture days, Rin Tin Tin. Well, are you in the school of comedians of Harold Lloyd?
Are you in the school of comedians of Harold Lloyd?
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Was there a picture recently made based on allegedly the story of your life?
Yes.
Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton is right. Artist and a very dear man, Buster Keaton. He got away from me so fast I couldn't ask him a single question. Give us a chance to give the panel another shot at a challenger. Panel, you're going to have very little time, so let's have our challenger in. Will you come in and sign in, please? Down, Cecil. Sue Voigt. Is that right? Is it Miss Voigt or Mrs. Voigt? Miss Voigt, and where are you from, Miss Voigt?
Manhasset, Long Island.
Manhasset, Long Island. You're a neighbor. Miss Voigt, the panel. And the panel, Miss Voigt. And would you come over here with me now, please? You know how we keep score?
Yes, I do.
Oh, fine. Then we'll let everybody around and about except the panel know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. Miss Voigt is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Miss Voigt, does your work keep you out of doors?
Yes, it does.
Do you do anything on, in, or near water when you work?
No.
1 down, 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Voigt, does your very handsome face and willowy figure play any part in the work that you do?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Would you consider your work close to nature?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Kovac.
Do you have anything to do with sports activities? I think it was a nicely phrased question, though.
No.
Yes, rather. 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
You work for a profit-making organization?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
And you're down in Long Island.
She's cooking for that penal institution.
Do you work in Long Island?
Yes.
And you do outdoor work?
Yes.
Do you wear any kind of a uniform when you do your work?
No.
I would like, if Miss Voigt will permit, to give you a yes and no on that. Miss Voigt doesn't, but it is not untoward that others doing the same task might.
Have you any connection with the traffic in any way?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, do you have anything to do with any type of law enforcement?
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Kovac.
Well, sir, yeah, we're right there, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Do you have anything to do with children?
No, only incidentally. 8 down and 2 to go, Miss
Nice
Francis.
thought,
Do you have anything to do with the school system?
No, I don't.
9 down and 1 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you have anything to do with health?
10 down and no more to go. And this is why we all go out in the rain and the heat and the sun. I want you to meet U.S. mailman, Miss Sue Voigt. To put this in the record, Miss Sue is actually going back to the University of North Carolina very soon, but she has all summer long had a 15-mile mail route, carries her own bag, delivers her letters, walks all the way, and her uniform, to the degree that she has one, consists of Bermuda shorts, and that's why there is so many letters written in that part of the United States. Thank you very much, Miss Voigt. Nice to have you in. And now, unhappily, let the record show that Ernie Kovacs is going to be leaving us for 3 weeks because he's going out to the coast where he's going to go into a dramatic show, Playhouse 90. We're going to miss him. In fact, I'm going to miss him a good deal. I'll be a little more uncertain about what's going on. But hope you have a very successful time in Playhouse 90, and it's been nice to have you so regularly. We hope to be back soon. Until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Miss Dorothy.
Good night, John, and I have a little announcement to make. Next week's panel will be this week's challengers. Good night, Ernie. Have a good night.
Good night, Auntie. I'd like everybody to come up to the house after the show. Good night. Good night, Arlene.
Good night. See you soon, Ernie. Good night, Betty.
You can tell tomorrow's Labor Day. We certainly labored tonight. Good night, John.
Good night, Bennett, and welcome to KDKA TV in Pittsburgh, who have joined us tonight on What's My Line. It's nice to have them with us. And thank you for being with us on What's My Line.